For many years, from the worst to the best teams in the league, there has been a strong emphasis on tactical aspects. However, like everything in this world, nothing lasts forever, and football is now on the brink of major changes. Recently, we've been seeing more and more creatively free players who break out of rigid systems. At one time, tactical, systematic football was considered the only correct approach. Every team knew how to control possession, where and why to move, how to pass, and how to press. Teams also knew how to neutralize their mirror image, another systematic team playing against them. As a result, when two identical ideologies faced each other on the field, it resembled a chess match. Players moved exactly as required, without any creative freedom. The advanced playmaker. It all began with the position of the advanced playmaker. Throughout football history, the number 10 was an integral part of the game. This player could create chances out of nothing, despite contributing almost nothing defensively. However, their impact in the attacking third outweighed their defensive shortcomings. For a long time, teams preferred the 4-4-2 formation, which gave the playmaker near total freedom. This system was ideal for teams that relied on a number 10. But at some point, everything changed. The defensive midfield destroyer. As we know, every action has an opposite reaction. Teams favoring defensive styles found an effective way to neutralize the strengths of the playmaker. The playmaker's main job was to be creative, while the defensive midfielder's role was much simpler, to prevent that creativity. The destroyer was tasked with making the playmaker's life miserable. Teams that used a defensive midfielder became more successful because they now had two advantages: neutralizing the playmaker, preventing them from dictating the game, gaining an additional player to help build up play, as defensive midfielders were given more freedom since the playmaker was not pressing them effectively. This forced teams to abandon the passenger in midfield, as opponents were gaining too much of an advantage. No matter how much magic a number 10 could create, it wasn't enough to compensate for the numerical disadvantage in midfield. Even teams with a defensive midfielder usually had 3 players in central midfield. But that didn't mean they didn't need an additional creative force, the false 9. While Lionel Messi and Pep Guardiola didn't invent the false 9 role, they demonstrated just how effective it could be. The Argentine forward scored 91 goals in a calendar year while playing this position. And if a team had a false 9, they no longer needed a traditional number 10. This was the final nail in the coffin for playmakers. The decline of playmakers and the rise of wingers. Times changed. The classic number 10s either dropped deeper or disappeared from football altogether. Those who couldn't adapt slowly faded into obscurity. The responsibility for creativity shifted almost entirely to the wingers. In the past, fullbacks were strong but not particularly agile, making it easy for quick and skillful wingers to outmaneuver them and create highlight reel moments. Originally, the role of wingers was simple: beat their marker, deliver a cross into the box. Before statistics became widely analyzed, wingers had much more freedom. As long as they entertained the crowd, their inefficiencies went unnoticed. But just as time pushed playmakers into irrelevance, wingers soon faced their own challenges. A new type of winger. For a long time, wingers were focused solely on attacking, but things changed when fullbacks began contributing to the attack more actively. This forced wingers to take on more defensive responsibilities. Now, they had to track back and help their team defensively. The days of purely attacking wingers were numbered. Instead, a new breed of hard-working, all-round wingers emerged. Soon, the idea of playing with 2 strikers also faded. As a result, constant crosses into the box became less relevant, and wingers had to adapt their roles. The solution? The inverted winger. These were wide attackers playing on the opposite side of their strong foot, allowing them to cut inside and shoot. During this period, we saw wingers posting exceptionally high goal-scoring numbers. This system forced players to be less creative and more efficient, the antidote to defensive midfielders. But then change came again. Teams realized that playing with 3 deep-lying midfielders hurt their attacking play. They needed to bring back the number 10. But how? The defensive destroyer still existed. The answer was simple. Instead of one playmaker, use two number 10s. This created a 2 versus 1 advantage against the defensive midfielder, giving the attacking team more control. Playmakers found new life, occupying spaces between the fullback and the center back. But this too led to adjustments. Teams started using 3 center backs more often. Midfielders had to become more mobile, constantly moving to create overloads. However, even in this case, opponents knew what to expect. The new generation. When players know what's coming, every movement, pass, cross, and shot, it turns the game into a tactical chess match. The only way to break free? Creativity. No tactical system can predict raw individual brilliance. And when two perfectly drilled teams face each other, the only way to gain an edge is through something magical, something unpredictable. A new generation of playmakers has emerged. They are no longer locked between the lines or tied to a specific position. They move all across the pitch, dropping deeper to build play, drifting wide to attack, or even acting as finishers. Unlike the past, they now use possession more efficiently. They can compete with defensive midfielders who would have dominated the previous generation. Modern playmakers don't just provide assists, they score goals. The future of football. In an era of tactical systems and pressing, the answer to every challenge remains the same as it has always been in football: individual skill. Today's wingers are no longer just crossers or dribblers. They combine the creativity of past generations with the ruthless efficiency of modern football. Football's tactical revolution continues. If teams keep prioritizing systematic play, the demand for players who can create magic from nothing will only grow. Because when two perfectly organized teams face off, something beyond perfection is needed to win. That something is creativity. That something is magic. And for all football fans, this is then the result.